coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coin. These niggas pop, my money keep growing. Your girl is a dot, she all on my groin. She blowing my horn, we fuck like porn. These rappers is whack, they lyrics is corn. I'm getting this money, they never get born. I'm loading my strap, they calling law. Fuck around and you clap for running your jaw. If it ain't about the dollars and it don't make sense. Got me sipping brown water, but it ain't from Flint. Trying to chase all this bread, though the shit won't last. About to shut the city down like a crypto crash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
Smoking on that crispy got me cliff high. Steam pot, heat rock, slingshot. Surfing through the city while them chips rise. Hot boy, do it big time. LMA with my summer bae, we booed up. Cali hit the bay, we fly MIA, we booed up. Sipping on this drink, bitch, I know the way. We juiced up, nigga violate till it's AFK like Jerufa. Coin daddy bout them chips, nigga, rap snacks. Face all in a box, nigga, Snapchat. Fucking with the ops to get you clapped back. No cap, nigga, back.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
Yo, y'all thought I only did this YouTube shit. Check this. Yo, is he a Crip? Is he a blood? Stupid. Is Bitcoin crashing? I'm calling it FUD. I've been stacking crypto coins before Big Worm was around, before the Krakens, Coinbases, Polar Nexus, BitMexes. I'm the man in this town. I've been wearing this crown from 7 Mile to Belle Isle, Telegraph to Mile. I done traded it all from Loonie yen to pound. I was stacking them coins when the Mayan niggas was around. 2012 to be exact. In December, that's a fact. I told my nigga John Knapp, Litecoin mining where it's at. And ever since then, a young crypto nigga been paid. I don't know about y'all, but I love that phrase. I be
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
This episode is brought to you by FairDesk, a crypto derivatives trading platform founded by 6 former Binance execs and 3 former Morgan Stanley architects. FairDesk is a company focused on building a platform that enables traders to profit from both rising and falling markets. Sign up today and CB will credit you up to $600 in trading funds. For more information, visit fairdesk.com, link in the description below.
Are you trying to put us to sleep before Jerome Powell puts us to sleep?
oh man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to breathe in, breathe out.
You lost your breath there.
Feel that light.
Yes.
Let it embrace you.
Yes.
Because the end of the world is coming.
Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live. Okay.
All right, Rice. We're doing it live. Hey, it's not like we needed to, actually see the number come out, or if they were going to pause or cut or raise or what. It's the same shit every month almost. Yeah, well, but Groundhog's Day.
There's some extra stuff that is kind of coming to play with this meeting. I think that's kind of
Oh, wait, so are you telling me we're going to listen to the whole meeting today? We're going to listen to the whole
I don't know.
Q&A.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, let's see what's going on and play it by ear. The one thing I will say, and I haven't had a chance to like really dissect this, and I'm trying to do a screen share, but have you heard any news about the Japanese yen?
Oh, yeah. I've been following it. It's been
like
crashing.
What's been happening in the past couple days and such?
Yeah. It's been doing horribly.
Well, I mean, they were talking about selling treasuries, and if they would sell the treasuries that they have, it would definitely crash the market. It would be like the straw that broke the camel's back. So the Federal Reserve, I believe, is doing everything that they can to help prop up the yen in this instance. I think from what I heard, it was they have like a certain amount of treasuries that they purchase on a monthly basis, I believe, and they decided not to do that this time and put that funds towards this endeavor. And they're kind of keeping the whole thing kind of quiet. You're not really hearing a lot about it, but considering what is happening and how bad Japan has been with their inflationary situation, which has been like my entire lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like the end of the road for them, obviously. Now we have to prop them up so it doesn't.
It's the end of the road for us, though.
Yeah, well, it would signal the end of the road for us.
Yeah.
So we got to prop up other currencies in order to make sure our currency doesn't fail. It's like, is that a Ponzi scheme or is that a Ponzi scheme?
Hey, welcome to the clown show. No, this is it, man. This is the end of the road. This is the end of the road. I don't see any further wiggling and manipulation. Too much more we can do at this point, Rice. I really don't see it.
No, I agree. And I think that it's like it's having this kind of monetary war in a sense between like the BRICS nation and the US dollar. Technically, obviously, isn't helping it either. So if we were all on the same page, we might be able to get through this. But when you have like opposition in this aspect, this I found to be cool. Again, I haven't done a lot of deep dive like.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to talk about this yesterday.
Well, I thought it would be more appropriate for today, honestly, because of the fact that it's talking about the Federal Reserve, against Jerome Powell, and saying that if he's reelected, that he wants to erode the Federal Reserve's independence if he wins. I don't know if that means ending their charter or going through like congressional acts and limiting their power and restructuring how the Federal Reserve is, but it's interesting. It's interesting because I think this is like actually the very first presidential, like aside from Ron Paul, who ran, I believe, as an independent or libertarian.
Libertarian, yeah.
This is the first Republican or Democrat presidential candidate, I believe, that has said something about the Fed in a negative way in this aspect.
Trump used to be a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
And then he became Well, remember, he first ran as a Democrat. The first time he ran for his presidential campaign, it was as a Democrat. Failed miserably.
Was that what, 2012?
I think so.
Okay.
So then he tried again, 2016, right? Republican. He wins. But the issue is, I don't think people understand, or maybe they do. The reason the deep state hates him so much because he's actually not a Democrat or Republican. He's just a capitalist. So he wants what's best, not really with the bullshit, cutting through a lot of the political stuff, right? He's not a politician. He's a businessman. And when's the last time we had a businessman as our president?
We never have.
We never have. And I didn't think so.
We had, I'm not sure if you would consider Ralph Nader to be a businessman who ran. Then you had Ross Perot, who was obviously a successful businessman who ran.
And I think they sabotaged his campaign. Remember what happened with him, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, which one are we talking about?
Ross Perot.
Okay. Yeah. No, 100%. And yeah. Ralph Nader's thing, they ended up having like a bunch of people like on different television shows, like get down on their hands and knees and ask him to stop running because they knew it was just going to swing votes one way or another and not really have any real effect. So, yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, it's a lot of people who would identify as Democrat, the party itself has just gotten so off the rails that a lot of people have started changing their stance. And we've seen political parties in the United States do this. You know, there's been a progression of change throughout the history of these parties.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to them Whigs, man? Why don't we bring the Whigs back? The Whigs party.
Carter, Top Signal said. What about Carter? Jimmy Carter. I guess he was a businessman.
I don't know much about Carter, but I don't think he wasn't one of our best presidents. I think he was good with diplomacy and things like that. But
did you hear about this? Zimbabwe launched their gold-backed digital currency today.
I didn't know it was today. I just knew they were going to be doing it, but I don't know how this is going to affect things.
If any country needed to go back anything, it would be that country.
Yeah. I don't know how their bills are reevaluated. I don't know if they still actually have $1 million Zimbabwe notes in circulation, or if that's been changed based off like reevaluating their currency.
I am said peanut farmer, unsuccessful one.
An unsuccessful peanut farmer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So Fed decision. Let's take a look at this really quickly, and we'll get back to the screen.
Now, if there is some kind of slowdown in the economy, which we don't see yet, or the job market slows down, then the earnings numbers themselves are going to start coming down, and that's a whole other scenario.
Yeah, but Rick says we are seeing a slowdown in the economy. Rick said you got to look at the numbers; they are slower.
Here's the jobs numbers, which is what matters, are still pretty robust.
I'm going to let Steve jump in, and then Jim. Steve, go ahead.
I'll keep it quick. The idea of that means stagnate. It means we're not growing. A slowing in the pace of growth is what we all have wanted. It is the soft landing scenario. So it would seem a little bit extreme to me to jump from we got the slowdown we wanted to the idea that the plane is stalling and about to crash land. Look, I think Rick is right. You got to factor that into your possibilities. I just don't think it's the most probable outcome because of what you expect to happen with prices in that scenario. In a scenario of stag, you get D, not inflation.
All right. Make sure you subscribe to both of our channels.
Jim, I want to
get below in the video description. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Rick Santelli. I used to like Rick Santelli.
We're just leaving this alone, unchanged. But it's more of the language of what Jerome Powell is. He going to avoid talking about inflation? Right. Is he going to is he going to try to make things seem better than they are and avoid certain
7.5%?
So it'll be interesting to watch that.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the markets, though, man. Bitcoin's not doing so great today, my friend. It's dragging a lot.
It's up 2%. It says in the past hour.
Oh, it must have bounced off of, but it's been taking legs down.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we're going to be breaching, that and 52, 53K area, because that seems to be the sweet spot right now for a lot of different reasons.
I'm kind of I have to admit I'm kind of surprised, bro.
Are you Barrett?
Barrett is
no, I'm saying are you Barrett?
No, I hadn't been Barrett. No.
But now I haven't checked out Barrett.
Barrett is righteth right now.
Has Gareth been calling for lower than like the low 50s? I know, like previously he was like sub 10.
I gotta get him in. I gotta get him on. He told me to hit him up. I just been so busy with this coochie, man. You know what
I mean? Nice. That's a good thing to keep you busy.
It sure is. It definitely can. It definitely can. So I gotta get him on because he told me to reach out to him. I'm just gonna DM him because
he's been non-responded. I sent a message to him saying forget it.
You did?
Yeah. After trying to get him back on the show a couple times and not getting any response at all. And they used to give me free access to verified crypto, and they took that away. So
damn.
I'm just like, okay, cool.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
I don't need to have you on.
What happened?
I don't know. I guess the guys, you know how sometimes getting a little bit of celebrity status changes people.
I don't think it changed Gareth.
Well, I mean,
maybe it's the team around him. I don't know.
Me and him. I mean, he's always told me we've had great conversations. It got where it was like, hey, well, we can only come on once every 2 months, and then it was like no response, and then it was like drop your subscription. And it's like I didn't get any sort of referral or anything like that for helping to promote his services to come on my channel. But offering me access to it for free, I should have been able to get that for lifetime, considering he's been on my channel numerous times, 5, 6, 7 times, promoting his businesses. So yeah, if it is his team, they're kind of a jackass team. That's what I got to say. I mean, if it's not Gareth personally, then
I can't see it being Gareth, bro.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of people that we call friends change. So just over the past few years. So
and who might you be referring to, my friend?
I mean, the list is pretty long, man. It's like everyone but me, you, and Bozak. Maybe Bitcoin Ben, Joel. Yeah. There's a few of us that have like stayed a little bit grounded in reality.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Very interesting, bro. Very interesting. So I don't have any articles. You have anything else today that you want to go over? I think that's very interesting, though. This thing that Trump is potentially doing. I'm still wondering who's going to pick for his VP.
I have no clue, honestly, but it's good to have this type of topic being brought up in conversation. You know, even if it's just for a news piece, it starts to get some people to think, because some people may not realize the power and what the Federal Reserve represents, and to have Donald Trump come out and say this may make some people want to question why. You know, I think it was Peter McCormick who is kind of not related, but sort of related. Peter McCormick posted something this morning saying he finally understands and agrees with the taxation is theft argument. So a lot of people are waking up, man, is what I'm getting at.
He's not a he's not a U.S. citizen. Where does he live?
UK. He says, I've reached the taxes theft phase. Sorry it took so long. And he posted that at like 12:30 today.
Today?
Yeah.
See, man, this is what I've been, Rice, man, you know, I've been saying this, man. It's, you know, at this point, now we're seeing where a lot of the money's going. It's just like, no, this is no good. Shout out to Offnear.
Eric Voorhees said, welcome.
Offnear says, thanks for all that you do for the community, bro. Really appreciate it. Coochie gang, let's get some on that wheel. All right, you got it.
Canadian,
you got it, bro.
Canadian dollars?
Yeah, it's about 50 cents.
You got the Trudeau bucks?
Got the Trudeau bucks.
Nice.
Got the Trudeau bucks. Yeah, let me get him on the wheel really quickly, but you can continue to talk, man.
Yeah, I don't really have any other articles. I just want, I think it's really important. We're at that's like we've been saying, we're at this damned if you do, damned if you don't. And as we have more situations that progress, kind of like this Japanese yen situation, which I'm pretty sure we're going to see similar situations with other countries. There's no way that we can continue to prop up unless we start to turn the money printers back on. So that's obviously going to be good for cryptocurrency, but then we could really start to get into this idea of $1 million Bitcoin. But what does $1 million buy you?
Absolutely nothing.
So it's we're in this really interesting.
We're in the transitioning phase, and
well,
I'm not talking about going from male to female.
They don't have nothing for us to transition to, though.
What do you mean?
I mean, like the every CBD system that they have. Let me see if I have. I'm trying to think what the fucking website's called. The CBDC tracker that I use. I'll look it up. CBDC tracker. It's like some long.
Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up for us while we look up this article. And also, don't forget this Friday, I am giving away $100 worth of crypto. So it's going to be $50 worth of Easy tokens, which is on the Base network, and I'll be giving away $50 worth of Ethereum. So all you got to do is do what Offneer did. If you're not a member, super chat us. If you are a member, you locked and loaded, baby. You already ready to go.
All right,
let's see what you got here.
This is the AtlanticCouncil.org CBDC tracker. Great website, so you can kind of gauge like what's happening around the world. They have ways that you can filter out. You can filter by country. You can filter by what's been launched, what's under pilot, what's under development, research, inactive, and canceled. So we have 2 canceled, and that would be Ecuador and Senegal. So the Black Panther land, I believe, they canceled. The 17th
Black Panther, huh?
Isn't that where Wakanda is at? Is in Senegal?
No,
I don't know, man.
Oh, you talking about Akon City?
Maybe.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a big disaster. That failed.
No, I know, I've heard.
Yeah, and there's a lot of black people on his head about that one over in there's some expats. I don't know if they're expats, but they're some black people that Americans that live in Ghana and some other countries over there that are really on his head about that.
It's kind of cool. So you have Iceland that's inactive, Bermuda is inactive, Saint Martin, which includes all this under the umbrella. You have Venezuela, Curaçao, Costa Rica. I didn't mean to click on that. Belize was on there. Yep.
I like what Mind of Tron said here. We're all going to transition from broke as a joke to broke millionaires. Wow. That's clever.
That's like being a Dogecoin millionaire back in the day. So under research, I mean, you can see there's a lot under research. 44 nations under research out of 134. There's a 30 in development.
Okay.
Which obviously, if you see, that includes the United States. Pilot. These are the pilots. Was that Brazil? I believe that's Brazil. Yeah. And then launched is 3, which is Nigeria, Jamaica, and Bahamas with, I guess, a sand dollar. So it's pretty interesting to see. I mean, and there are some nations that have rejected it, but ultimately the ones that are developing, researching, piloting, and launching, they're all using the ISO 20022 compliancy. So, because I believe that's kind of like the plumbing for the bridge to allow for all these different programmable currencies to be able to interact with one another by bridging the way that we do in crypto, which is, using cryptocurrency as a test bed for all the shit that they want to bring in the future. So a lot of people have obviously said that for years.
Let's see what one of your viewers said. Josh Brown said, I'm sure they've had a CBDC dialed up for a decade in the background, probably running now. Machine learning, AI, shit they can assemble sensors inside of us our own cells. I mean, it's
I disagree because China's launched theirs and we don't see the success. I think there was some African nations that had launched and their citizens just weren't they weren't using it. So they were trying to actually do things. This is
why, Rice, that it has to be something where people are already somewhat akin to it, meaning a USDT, a USDC.
Right.
You can't.
But like we said, it's programmable. It's all it is. I mean, like we were talking about yesterday, whether they call it a central bank digital currency, whether they call it a stable coin, a digital dollar.
It won't be called a digital central bank currency, ladies and gentlemen.
Not in the United States. Now, other nations that have more like straight up totalitarian, I hate that freaking word. Those style governments are obviously don't really have much say. So you think the Chinese citizens wanted a social credit score system and CBDCs and stuff like that? I would
venture to say yes.
I don't think so. It doesn't seem like. I mean, now there are some people that do like the Big Brother, and
you got to think, man. A lot of people are brainwashed. I have nothing to hide. There you go. Yeah. I'm a good citizen. I have nothing to hide.
In a cult.
Anything for Click said. I'm trying to be a coochie millionaire. Round of applause for that. Coochie's down big time, so it's a discount. If you guys are interested in buying this week, I do have a. I'm not trying to shield here, but he brought it up. I'm doing a giveaway Friday, Rice. So all you gotta do is be in the chat room, Go to our Twitter. Go to our Twitter. The details are there, all there, and it'll run it down. On
I followed the account back on Twitter, and then on that same day, and I'm still kind of like curious about it. Is John Cena's account apparently followed me, and I don't know why.
John Cena, who?
The wrestler?
Shut up.
No, I'm serious. I'm trying to pull up.
Can I go to? I'm going to your screen now. Just FYI.
Yeah, you can. I'm just scrolling down trying to find where it says, people follow you. Oh, maybe it was a. Let me see. Maybe it was a bunk account, but it had a check mark and everything.
Well, you can have a check mark. Now, did it have a yellow check mark?
No, it was a blue check mark, and it had like 1 million followers. Yeah, this one right here, and it says follows you.
Oh my God, John Cena!
I'm like, why are you following
Let's
me?
go, John Cena.
What?
Get you some coochie, John Cena. Get you some coochie, John Cena.
I just thought that was interesting.
It's very cute.
I'm like,
cute,
why?
Rice.
I mean, it's not like I don't talk about. I mean, I used to love wrestling. I was a huge wrestling fan. Actually, recently I've been watching a bunch of micro wrestling.
See, that's why.
Micro wrestling is, but I'm not talking about it on YouTube. But the micro wrestling is pretty badass, man.
What if Bitcoin is the ultimate CBDC? Can't be, bro. Do you think it can be?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, obviously, I can't review code, so I have to trust others that can. So I can't verify. I mean,
there ain't a lot of code to review.
I've been told the code is clean. It's not clean. It doesn't have like backdoors, any sort of secret mechanisms in place.
No. Let's see what how do you say that one, Rice? That's one of your viewers.
I have no name. No clue. I mean, that's not somebody I'm really familiar with. Garangu Queenie.
Okay. Is that a he or she?
I don't know. If you're talking about Gareth, he is a that's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say that. So Doge House Capital. I don't know.
Under a synonym. That's not I heard you're talking about. Oh, I don't know anything about that, brother. I don't want to spread any,
Yeah, I mean, even though I said what I said, that doesn't mean that I have a problem personally with Gareth. I just told him to forget, the request for the interview because I just was getting tired of asking.
Podcast and recognize his voice anyway. He pulled the plug on it. I don't know about that one, brother. We have to check.
I mean, he seems to be doing well with his trading. I don't know why he would need to do something. Now, here is the other thing is, depending on when this was done, I mean, AI's gotten really good with being able to take voices and
exactly.
And if you're just hearing voice and not seeing like the video with it, because the video usually is what kind of gives it away.
At this point, still, yes, you can.
But if you don't have a video and you're just listening to audio, you may actually think that it's that person's voice.
That's right.
I've heard plenty of commercials, paid advertisements on YouTube that are using Donald Trump's voice to promote something.
Storm the Capitol again. We're going to do Storm the Capitol 2.0. It's going to be beautiful. Fantastic.
The biggest
We're going to make billions and billions and billions of tweets.
I love it.
Oh, man. You see what they're doing to him, man? I mean, God. What do you think? You weren't a big Trump fan, man.
No, but
how do you feel about what they're doing now? Like you're seeing,
I know I told you, I mean, it makes me want to support him more, but it still doesn't mean I'm supporting him. It just, I've become more of I've been more of a sympathizer, I guess.
Okay.
Because I mean, there's somebody, I forget his name, but somebody was doing these like man on the street videos, going up to people and like telling them things that Biden had done. And these are obviously pro-left kind of individuals, pro-Biden people, and they were agreeing with him. And the way they were doing it was using the different person's name.
Yep.
And then saying, well, actually, no, I made a mistake. That was actually Joe Biden. and catching people in this. Now, I mean, if you look at this from just an outside perspective of not being part of any political party or supporting any individual, I mean, this is just an attack on your opponent that's winning.
Yeah,
which looks very, very un-American and goes against everything America's about. And most people have come to the conclusion of like, we should be the ones that decide. If you think that Donald Trump is such a threat to our democracy, then let your actions prove that in the election cycle. You don't need to do anything to hinder your opponent, handicap them before they can start the race. I want to cut your legs off before we run this this relay race or whatever the situation might be. So it's just it's a travesty, and it sure is, and it's really embarrassing to think about how we as Americans are being looked at by the rest of the world. That's what's sad. That's what's sad.
It's a pretty much.
But I still go on.
No respect.
We don't need these old people. We don't need these old people being president anymore. We should put caps on old people driving if they can't prove that they can drive, and we need to put caps on old people wanting to be president.
Well, all I know is that Trump supports the coochie. Never surrender.
That is a really bad AI. Somebody could have done a.
Hey, he's
I like that logo though.
He's grabbing him by the coochie, baby. He's grabbing him by the coochie.
It reminds me of the Great V.
As it should. Now we have here Mr. Jerome Powell. Let's get to him, Rice, and we'll come back.
Thank you.
To achieve a sustainably strong labor market that benefits all. Today, the FOMC decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged and to continue to reduce our securities holdings, though at a slower pace. Our restrictive stance of monetary policy has been putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation, and the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals have moved toward better balance over the past year. However, in recent months, inflation has shown a lack of further progress toward our 2% objective, and we remain highly attentive to inflation risks.
Oh, wow.
I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. Although GDP growth moderated from 3.4% in the fourth quarter of last year to 1.6% in the first quarter, private domestic final purchases, which excludes inventory investment, government spending, and net exports, and usually sends a clearer signal on underlying demand, was 3.1% in the first quarter, as strong as the second half of 2023. Consumer spending has been robust over the past several quarters, even as high interest rates have weighed on housing and equipment investment. Improving supply conditions have supported resilient demand and the strong performance of the U.S. economy over the past year. The labor market remains relatively tight, but supply and demand conditions have come into better balance. Payroll job gains averaged 276,000 jobs per month in the first quarter, while the unemployment rate remains low at 3.8%. Strong job creation over the past year has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers, reflecting increases in participation among individuals aged 25 to 54 years and a continued strong pace of immigration. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year and the jobs to workers gap has narrowed, but labor demand still exceeds the supply of available workers. Inflation has eased notably over the past year, but remains above our longer run goal of 2%. Total PCE prices rose 2.7% over the 12 months ending in March. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%. The inflation data received so far this year have been higher than expected. Although some measures of short-term inflation expectations have increased in recent months, longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. The Fed's monetary policy actions are guided by our mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. The committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%, and to continue the process of significantly reducing our securities holdings, though at a slower pace. Over the past year, as labor market tightness has eased and inflation has declined, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals have moved toward better balance. The economic outlook is uncertain, however, and we remain highly attentive to inflation risks. We've stated that we do not expect that it will be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. So far this year, the data have not given us that greater confidence. In particular, and as I noted earlier, readings on inflation have come in above expectations. It is likely that gaining such greater confidence will take longer than previously expected. We are prepared to maintain the current target range for the federal funds rate for as long as appropriate. We're also prepared to respond to an unexpected weakening in the labor market. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could result in a reversal of the progress we've seen on inflation. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering any adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. Policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties that we face in pursuing both sides of our dual mandate. We will continue to make decisions meeting by meeting. Turning to our balance sheet, the committee decided at today's meeting to slow the pace of decline in our securities holdings, consistent with the plans we released previously. Specifically, the cap on Treasury redemptions will be lowered from the current $60 billion per month to $25 billion per month as of June 1. Consistent with the committee's intention to hold primarily Treasury securities in the longer run, we're leaving the cap on agency securities unchanged per month, and we will reinvest any proceeds in excess of this cap in Treasury securities. With principal payments on agency securities currently running at about $15 billion per month, total portfolio runoff will amount to roughly $40 billion per month. The decision to slow the pace of runoff does not mean that our balance sheet will ultimately shrink by less than it would otherwise, but rather allows us to approach its ultimate level more gradually. In particular, slowing the pace of runoff will help ensure a smooth transition, reducing the possibility that money markets experience stress and thereby facilitating the ongoing decline in our securities.
It's the question, I think, the question session
that are consistent
going to give us a little bit more insight. Because at this point, we know that they're concerned with inflation. I didn't think they were going to put as much emphasis on that, at least not verbally. Oh, I thought my cam was back on. At least not verbally. I didn't think that they would.
He's mentioned it
like
at least
the high,
7,
a
8,
lot,
10 times, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Which means that they're not planning on cutting interest rates anytime soon.
No, I got that in my notes. I was going to mention that. So let's get back
public
to this.
mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. Howard Schneider with Reuters. A question to follow up.
I wonder how this guy sleeps at
Consider
night.
the current policy rate still, you're confident that it's sufficiently restrictive to get
Wonder how he
inflation
feels
back to
about
2%?
himself.
He sleeps well. He's a rich white man, my friend.
He doesn't look super comfortable doing this, though, you know?
A few places I would point to for that. You can start with the labor market. So demand is still strong, the demand side of the labor market in particular, but it's cooled from its extremely high level of a couple of years ago. And you see that in job openings. You saw it, more evidence of that today in the JOLTS report, as you'll know. It's still higher than pre-pandemic, but it has been coming down both in the Indeed report and the JOLTS report. That's demand cooling. The same is true of quits and hiring rates, which have essentially normalized. I also look at surveys of workers and surveys of workers and businesses and ask workers, are jobs plentiful, and ask businesses, are workers plentiful? Is it easy to find workers? And you've seen that the answers to those have come back down to pre-pandemic levels.
Necessarily.
You also see in interest-sensitive spending like housing and investment, you also see that higher interest rates are weighing on those activities. So I do think it's clear that that policy is restrictive.
Sufficiently restrictive, I guess.
So I would say
like French
that
Jerome
we
over
believe
there.
it is restrictive, and we believe over time it will be sufficiently restrictive. That will be a question that, that the data will have to answer.
So as a follow-up, if inflation
Pardon me.
continues running roughly sideways as it has been,
Get that man some
the
water.
job market stays reasonably strong, unemployment low, and expectations are
Get that cock out your mouth, Jerome.
He needs a little bit of water, is all I'm saying, man.
anchored,
Anchored.
stable, roughly. Would you disrupt that for the last half point on
harsh.
PCE?
All that
You know,
lying.
I don't want to get into complicated hypotheticals, but I would say that, we're committed to retaining our current restrictive stance of policy for as long as is appropriate, and we'll do that.
The employment numbers are totally skewed because everybody's working these part-time jobs.
Thanks for
these
taking our
gig-
questions,
gig
Chair Powell.
economy jobs.
I wonder,
Whoa.
obviously,
Look how she's
Michelle
holding that
Bowman
mic.
has been saying that there is
How
a risk
tall is
that
she?
rates may need to increase
Gotta be
further, although it's not her
3'5".
baseline outlook.
She
I
makes
wonder
that
if you see that
microphone
as a
look
risk
huge.
as well, and
Huge.
if so, what change in conditions would merit considering raising rates at this point?
Is she one
So
of those,
I think
like,
it's unlikely
alien?
that the next
alien?
policy rate move will be a hike. I'd say it's unlikely. Our policy focus is really what I just mentioned, which is how long to keep policy restrictive. You ask, what would it take? I think we'd need to see persuasive evidence that our policy stance is not sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation sustainably down to 2% over time. That's not what we think we're seeing, as I mentioned. But that's something like that is what it would take. We'd look at the totality of the data, answer that question. That would include inflation expectations, and all the other data too.
Would that be like a reacceleration in inflation?
She sounds so little.
Well, I
too.
think, again, the test, what I'm saying
like
is
she's,
if
like,
we
way
were to
down
come
on
to
the
that
floor
conclusion
yelling
that policies weren't tight enough to achieve that. So it would be the totality of all the things we'd be looking at. It could be expectations, it could be a combination of things. But
Jerome,
if we reach that conclusion and we don't see evidence supporting that conclusion, that's what it would take, I think, for us to take that step.
Yeah, at this point, somebody
Thank you,
needs to
Chris
get that guy
Regaber
some
at
water or
Associated
something.
Press.
This is getting a little
You
crazy.
didn't
This is
mention
on
the
live
idea that
television.
rates are at a peak for the cycle, and didn't mention the idea that it might be appropriate to
Look
cut
at
rates
him. He
later
likes
this
to have
year,
that thing really
as
close.
you have at previous press conferences. So has the Fed
He's
sort
a
of dropped its
two-hander.
easing
He needs
bias?
another
Where are you standing
microphone.
on that?
So on,
Oh my God.
let me
He looks
address
like he needs to
cuts.
be
So
holding, too. He
obviously,
didn't know what
our
to do with
decisions
that
that we
other
make on
hand.
our policy rate are going to depend on the incoming data, how the outlook is evolving, and the balance of risks, as always. And we'll look at the totality of the data.
We
So
need a
I
throat.
think, and we
Listen,
think that
someone count the throat clears, okay? We need
you
a
got
throat
me.
clear
I'm not-
count.
At this point, we probably like passed 100 before you even mentioned it.
greater confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward 2%. So, for example, let me take a path. If we did have a path where inflation proves more persistent than
Does he have
expected, and where the
an
labor
answer
market
written
remains
down on a piece of paper?
strong, but inflation is moving
he's
sideways
reading?
and we're not gaining greater confidence, well, that would be a case
It's all
in which it
scripted.
could be appropriate to hold off on rate cuts. I think there's also other paths that the economy could take, which would cause us to want to consider rate cuts, and those would be two of those paths would be that we do gain greater confidence, as we've said, that inflation is moving sustainably down to 2%, and another path could be,
Not getting 2%.
an unexpected weakening in the labor market, for example. So those are paths in which you could see us cutting rates. So I think it really will depend on the data. In terms of peak rate, I think really it's the same question. I think the data will have to answer that question for us.
Well, and could you just follow on the path where you might not
You just
cut?
did a little-
Is that you mentioned that it would be inflation persistent?
Yeah, I'm telling you, look at it. He's a
is
two-hander.
inflation, would that be the key data in making that decision?
He is
or
lost without
could you
having
expand a bit
something
more
else
on
in that other
Thank you.
hand.
Again, we've set ourselves a test that for us to
Make sure
begin
you guys
to
smash that like
reduce
button.
policy restriction,
You're
we want to be
watching on the
confident
X
that
side on
inflation
either
is
one of
moving,
our accounts. Be sure to
moving
repost it.
sustainably down to
Appreciate it. Hopefully
2%.
you can hear me.
And for sure, one of the things we'd be looking at is the performance of inflation. We'd also be looking at inflation expectations. We'd be looking at the whole story, but clearly incoming inflation data would be at the very heart of that decision.
Nick Timrose of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, to what extent has the easing in financial conditions since November contributed to the reacceleration in growth? And do you now expect a period of sustained tighter financial conditions will be needed to resume the sort of disinflation the economy saw last year?
So I think it's hard to know that. I think we'll be able to look back, from down the road and look back and understand it better. If you look at, let's look at growth. Really, what we've seen so far this year in the first quarter is growth coming in about consistent with where it was last year. I know GDP came in lower, but you don't see an acceleration in growth. I mean, the thought would be that financial conditions loosened in December, and that caused an uptick in activity, and that caused inflation. Presumably, that's what we're tightening in the labor market. You don't really see that happening. What you see is economic activity at a level that's roughly the same as last year. So, what's causing this inflation, we'll have a better sense of that over time. I don't know that there's an obvious connection there, though, with the easing of financial conditions.
Last night.
In terms of tightening, you're right. I mean, rates are certainly higher now and have been for some time than they were before the December meeting, and they're higher, and that's tighter financial conditions, and that's appropriate given what inflation has done in the first quarter.
You've said in the past that stronger growth wouldn't necessarily preclude rate cuts. I wonder, would continued strength in the labor market change your view about?
It might have been a bread factory, and it could have been a lot of consuming of yeast.
I just want to be careful that we don't target wage growth or the labor market. And
you get where
remember
I'm,
what
where
we
I'm
saw
going?
last year. Very strong growth,
do you
a really
need some
tight labor
cranberry
market,
juice?
and a historically fast decline in inflation.
Get this man some cranberry juice.
And that's because we know there are two forces at work here. There's the unwinding of the pandemic-related supply-side distortions and demand-side distortions, and there's also monetary policy, restrictive monetary policy. So I wouldn't rule out that something like that can't continue. I wouldn't give up at this point on further things happening on the supply side, either because we do see that companies still report that there are supply side issues that they're facing, and also even when the supply side issues are solved, it should take some time for that to affect economic activity and ultimately inflation. So there are still those things. So I don't like to say that either growth or a strong labor market in and of itself would automatically create problems on inflation, because of course it didn't do that last year. You ask about wages. We also don't target wages. We target price inflation. It is one of the inputs. The point with wages is, of course, we like everyone else like to see high wages, but we also want to see them not eaten up by high inflation, and that's really what we're trying to do is to cool the economy and work with what's happening on the supply side to bring the economy back to 2% inflation. Part of that will probably be having wage increases move down incrementally toward levels that are more sustainable.
Federal though. Right?
Yeah, but they're doing all these public meetings and stuff, so I would imagine.
Hi, Chair Powell, Rachel Siegel from the
They were
Washington
making
Post. Thanks for
musicians
taking our questions.
to be able to play shows.
You talked about needing time to gain more confidence that inflation
public,
is sustainably moving back down to 2%. It's May now. Do you have time this year to cut 3 times, just given the calendar?
You don't.
You don't like that much.
I'm not really thinking of it that way.
How do you not think of it that way, Jerome?
He
never answers the question,
we need to
right?
Be more confident.
Like, there's never anything to get from
it. Today said
that's why he's a career.
We didn't see progress in the first quarter,
been around
and
for
I've
a
said
long
that
time.
it appears then that it's
good
going to take longer for us to reach that point of confidence.
Not
So
answering
I
questions.
don't know how long it'll take. I can just say that when we get that confidence, then rate cuts will be in scope.
We're in a day and age when
I don't know exactly when that will be.
And with hindsight, are there any signs that you can look back on now, looking at the reports from January or February or March, that suggested something more worrying than just expected bumpiness?
Yeah, she's nervous with that big black
She
mic.
likes the coochie.
She might.
Not really.
That's what I was getting at.
So I thought it was appropriate to reserve judgment until we had the full quarter's data, until we saw the March data. And so take a step back. What do we now see in the first quarter? We see strong economic activity. We see a strong labor market, and we see inflation. We see 3 inflation readings So I think you're at a point there where you should take some signal. We don't like to react to 1 or 2 months data, but this is a full quarter, and I think it's appropriate to take signal now, and we are taking signal. And the signal that we're taking is that it's likely to take longer for us to gain confidence that we are on a sustainable path than a 2% inflation. That's the signal that we're taking.
And Mr. Chair, if I could, Steve Leachman, CNBC, if I could follow up on that. What particular areas were sort of temporary or blips in the inflation data in the first quarter? And what's the dynamic by which you expect them to work out in the coming months and
Shout out to you.
Yeah. So we will, we will put the thing, we have put the thing under a microscope. I will say nothing is going to come out of that that's going to change the view. I think that, in fact, we didn't gain confidence and that it's going to take longer to get that confidence. But I just think, you know the story. What's happened since December is you've seen
Bitcoin's
higher
moving, bro.
Goods inflation than expected, and you've seen higher non-housing services inflation than expected. And those
59.
two are working together to sort of be higher than we had thought. And there are stories behind how that happened. And I think my expectation is that we will, over the course of this year, see inflation move back down. That's my forecast. I think my confidence in that is lower than it was because of the data that we've seen. So we're looking at those things. We also continue to expect, and I continue to expect, that housing services inflation, given where market rents are, those will show up in measured housing services inflation over time. We believe that it will. It looks like that there are substantial lags between when lower market rates turned up and for new tenants.
Isn't that beautiful? And then if I pull this up right here and just let you see how the number just keeps going up. See how close we're getting to 35 trillion?
Slow and cool the economy and inflation. Thank you.
I wouldn't say that, no. I mean, the active tool of monetary policy is, of course, interest rates. And this is a plan we've long had in place to slow, really not.
Well, what do you think so far?
Let me provide accommodation to the economy, but to be less restrictive to the economy. It really is to
I think I've counted about
110 the balance sheet down to where we want to get.
No, I've counted 69 clearings of the throat.
69, very specifically.
Financial market turmoil.
Specifically, 69.
There wasn't like a 0.420 in that?
No, it was 69. I made sure I went back and counted. This is some bullshit, bro. Every time I'm disappointed, Rice.
But I just wanted to see what he was saying as far as language.
Nothing has changed, though, right?
Because there's a lot of pressure being put on him to start dropping. But that is going to cause more problems.
That's clearly not going to happen, though.
And that's going to cause more problems. And then if he doesn't drop, that's going to cause more problems. So
if he drops,
the whole damned if you do, damned if you don't. And then if Donald Trump was to get into office and just get rid of Jerome Powell and make whomever is the head, just force them to start dropping interest rates fast, it's going to weaken the dollar. It's just going to straight up weaken the dollar. There is no ifs, ands, or buts around that one, or ifs, ands, or coochies around that one. Not that a butt is a coochie, but
Kulo.
They could be connected.
Shout out to my Kulo people. But I don't know,
there's
man.
a relationship
of front to back, are you supposed to front back to front? I don't know. Anyway,
what about the shocker? Are you aware of the shocker?
I am. Bozak put me on that.
Okay, we don't have to talk about it much more. People can look up the shocker.
Yeah,
but it involves two in something and one in the other something.
Yeah, man, this is not safe for work, guys. I'm sorry. We're supposed to be all serious. You got your blazer on.
I'm talking about bowling balls.
Okay, right. No, but and all jokes aside, bro, I just I don't hear anything as of yet that has piqued my interest as far as a pivot in anything. It's the same double speak. I don't hear anything new. I'm not getting any insight. You are?
So no, I'm just saying I'm more surprised about the fact that he was putting so much emphasis on the inflation. That was all.
Yes.
I just figured he would be trying to blow more smoke up people's asses. I mean, there still is some smoke being blown. I just thought like I wasn't even going to see him talking. It was going to be so much smoke being blown up our asses. It was going to look like hanging out with Bozak and me, and it was just going to be chiefing it.
I'm
roll up the windows and just keep rolling.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't hear anything. I think this is yet another just double speak conversation, and nothing to see here. It's literally a case by case basis. Every month, every week, that's where they are. There is no plan. That's what. Okay, let me say this, Rice. That's my conclusion. They have no freaking plan. That's what it sounds like. They double speak. They say, well, I don't want to say that much, you know. Oh, wait, we got a nice Ginger on. Let's get back to this one here. Let's see what she's talking about here.
Seem to suggest that you think the likeliest path of inflation is one that's going to allow you to have a situation where rates are lower at the end of the year than they are right now. It'd be good if you could just confirm whether or not that's a correct reading. And the Q1 GDP print has led to some to start mentioning the term stagflation with respect to the US economy. Do you or anyone else on the FOMC think this is now a risk? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not dealing really in likelihoods. I think there are paths that the economy can take that would involve cuts, and there are paths that wouldn't. And I don't have great confidence in which of those paths. I think I would say my personal forecast is that we will begin to see further progress on inflation this year.
That's exactly what you should do.
Enough sufficient. I don't know that it won't. I think we're going to have to let the data lead us on that.
What was that scene?
In terms of your question, your second question was stagflation. I guess I would say I was around for stagflation.
Jim Brewer.
And it was 10%.
Leaving his
10% unemployment.
Coming with me.
It was high single digits inflation. Right now we have and
there you go, John Hill. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
So
and they won't be successful.
Right now we have 3% growth.
You can't manage a crash.
Pretty solid growth.
Well, the crash is going to get unmanageable. They're managing it.
Running under
They're managing it. It's just going to get unmanageable. If we have more situations like
I don't really understand where that's coming from.
Yeah, because Rice, as you stated earlier when we started, now we're trying to prop up the yen. So it's like a boat. It's like a boat, right? You got one leak over here. Okay, you can take care of that.
Yeah.
And you got a leak over here. And you got a leak.
Yeah, we haven't hit like anything that's like just going to sink the ship yet.
Right.
So far, there's enough.
But we may not need to hit something. It may just be so many little holes that it's unmanageable, right? And it sinks us. It literally can be that.
Japanese yen situation could have been that.
Yeah.
If they didn't get involved and start trying to prop back up the yen, it really would have. If Japan would have been in combination with the BRICS nations, if they all started selling treasuries, the treasury wouldn't be worth anything, and the U.S. dollar would be just dead. Dead. And then it'd be civil war in the United States while the movie Civil War is in the theaters. Wouldn't that be ironic?
So I think I would take that question this way. We saw a year of very high productivity growth in 2020.
That's like an inception.
And we saw a year of negative productivity growth in 2022. So I think it's hard to draw from the data. The question is, will productivity run? There are two questions. One is, will productivity run, persistently above its longer run trend? I don't think we know that. In terms of potential output, though, if that's a separate question, we've had what amounts to a significant increase in the potential output of the economy. That's not about productivity. It was about having more labor, frankly, both through in 2023, both through participation, also through immigration. So we're very much like other forecasters and economists getting our arms around what that means for potential output this year and next year. And last year, for that matter, too. So I think in that case, I think you really do have a significant increase in potential output. But
I don't think that's going to affect market
more
as
supply,
much.
But those people also come in. They work. They have jobs. They spend. So you've also got demand. So it may be that you get more supply than you get demand at the beginning. But ultimately, it should be neither inflationary nor disinflationary over a longer period.
Well, you said earlier that at this point, you're not really considering rate increases. If growth is higher, but you're not considering rate increases, does that imply that you're more worried about causing the economy to slow too much than you are about inflation taking off again?
No, I think we believe our policy stance is in a good place and is appropriate to the current situation. We believe it's restrictive. And, our evidence for that I went over earlier. You see it in the labor market. You see it in inflation spending, where demand has clearly come down a lot over the past few years.
The grape base.
That's more from monetary policy, whereas the supply side things that are happening are more on the supply side. So that's how I would think about it.
Hit that like button.
Yes, please.
Thank you,
Share,
Mr.
repost.
Lawrence from Fox Business. So GDP growth is about 2%. Inflation, employment is about 4%. It feels a lot like a steady state, and we have 3% inflation. So if the data remains
way down there.
Have you seen this one, Rice? Donald Muhammad. Shout out to Donald Muhammad. I haven't seen him in a while. He used to give me so much trouble on Twitter. Can you come back with the? You know who Donald Muhammad is, Rice?
I think I do.
You know who he is. He used to give us so much grief online on Twitter. He's the Muslim guy. I think he's Nation of Islam.
Let me see. What's the name of that channel? American Vagabond.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched.
I haven't seen it.
I
haven't seen it, Donald. I haven't seen it.
I mean, dude, there's a lot. There's something that you
then. That would be
what it
would take for us to want to increase
There's
rates.
a video that people could check out that's got David Rogers Webb, the author of The Great Taking. He went to go to California, and he actually sat down with G. Edward Griffin.
Oh, he did. When did he do this?
A couple weeks ago, I believe, in the video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, let me drop it in a private, and then I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, that's dope, man. Have you talked to G. Edward Griffin?
Not yet.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I was going to tell you about it, too. His next Red Pill conference, which I can look that up until you win, David Rogers Webb is going to be there speaking in person. So I would really like to catch up with that dude. It would be awesome to interview him. So I'm planning on doing a reading of the book. And
Donald said Whitney Webb is the truth. Well, our buddy Charles Hoskinson's doesn't think so.
No, he was really adamant.
Charles, listen, ladies and gents, Charles almost went off on Rice on a Spaces about 2 months ago. When that was a trigger word for him, man. Whitney Webb was a trigger word.
Well, he had already talked about Whitney Webb, and then I brought up, I'm like, something that she had said made sense. So regardless of what she said about you, what she said is very, very truthful. What are your thoughts on this idea? Yeah. And yeah, it was just like very, it said a lot. So Last American Vagabond. I'm not finding that channel.
And we're at peace over it. We know that we'll do what we think is the right thing when we think it's the right thing, and we'll all do that. And that's how everybody around here thinks. So I can't say it enough that we just don't go down that road. If you go down that road, where do you stop? And we're not on that road. We're on the road where we're serving all the American people.
Omnibone, I've tried to reach out to Cliff maybe about 7 months ago, and he said he wasn't doing interviews then. I don't know if he's doing any nowadays.
And it's like hit and miss with him. You almost have to like get him on the same day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll reach out to him every couple months, and yeah, same thing for me.
Political events and one that doesn't. That's where the significant difference is. And we just don't do that. I mean, you can go back and read the transcripts for every. This is my fourth presidential election here. Read all the transcripts and see if anybody mentions in any way the pending election. It just isn't part of our thinking. It's not what we're hired to do. If we start down that road, I don't know how you stop. So.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Question about the labor market. You've mentioned a few times that the labor market is normalizing. Certainly today's JOLTS data suggested that things are kind of getting back to pre-pandemic levels. One thing that hasn't normalized is wage growth.
Probably inside of his mouth.
Stronger than before the pandemic. I wonder if you can share your analysis of why that's happening. Is it a lagging indicator or something else going on?
That's why people come to watch
so
us.
If you go back to where wages peaked,
the way we
wage
judge people
increases
holding their
peaked
mics.
a couple, 3 years ago. Essentially, all wage measures have
We
come
don't hold
down
mics.
substantially to that. But
No, we
they
get
are
someone to hold the mic
not
for
down
us.
to where they were before the
That's how
pandemic.
we
They're
roll.
still roughly a percentage point higher. And we've seen pretty consistent progress, but not uniformly. And you'll note the ECI reading from Tuesday it was expected to have come down, and essentially it was flat year over year, I think, roughly. So, yeah, I mean, that part of it is bumpy. And again, we don't target wage increases, but in the longer run, if you have wage increases running higher than productivity would warrant, and then
interesting.
There will be
That same
inflationary
channel that I
pressures.
just gave the link
Employers
for
will raise prices over time if that's the case.
did
So
film something
we've seen
with
progress.
Whitney Webb and
It's-
Mark
it's been
Goodwin with
inconsistent,
just
but we have
one-on-one
seen
with
a
each other.
substantial
I watched
decline
part of it, but I didn't
overall,
realize it was the
but
same
we have
channel.
ways to go on that.
I'll drop that in a private and also in the chat.
You worry. Nancy. Nancy.
Come on, Nancy.
You mentioned consumers.
Nancy,
and consumers are
put
feeling
that mic
the
up
weight
to your
of
face.
interest rates right now. Mortgage rates are up.
No,
as are
she's
rates. Car
one of
loans,
your
credit
your
cards.
token holders.
People looking to borrow are very discouraged. That's reflected in their views on the economy. What would you say to them?
That's going to be the new AI designate.
The thing that hurts
She is
everybody,
a
and
coochie token
particularly,
holder if there ever was
people
one.
in the lower income brackets, is inflation. If you're a person who's living paycheck to paycheck, and
I'm thinking about
suddenly
doing stand-up
all the
comedy
things
since
you
my
buy,
YouTube
the
career isn't
fundamentals of
doing very
life
well.
go up in price, you are in trouble right away. And so with those people in mind in particular, what we're doing is we're using our tools to bring down inflation. It will take some time, but we will succeed, and we will bring inflation back down to 2%, and then people won't have to worry about it again. That's what we're doing, and we know that it's painful and inconvenient, but the dividends will be paid will be very large, and everyone will share in those dividends. And we've made quite a lot of progress if you can think about it. I think headline core PCE peaked
We haven't crashed yet.
at 5.8. Now it's at, anyway, headline peaked at 7.1. Now it's at 2.7. Don't want to get that wrong.
No, you don't. Quick follow-up. Are current interest rates really doing that much, though, to fight inflation right now for those consumers?
Yes, I mean, I think that restrictive monetary policy is doing what it's supposed to do, but it's also in this case unusually working alongside and with the healing of the supply side. That was different this time was that a big part of the source of the inflation and the reason why we're having this conversation is that we had this supply side kind of collapse with shortages and bottlenecks and all of that kind of thing. And this was to do with the shutting down and reopening of the economy and other things that really raised demand. So many factors did that. So I think now you see those two things working together, the reversal of those supply and demand distortions from the pandemic and the response to it, along with restrictive monetary policy. Those two things are working to bring down inflation, and we've made a lot of progress. Let's remember how far we've come. And we have a ways to go. We've got work left to do, but we're not looking at the very high inflation rates that we were seeing 2 years ago.
Courtney Brown from Axios. Thanks for taking our questions, Chair Powell. I wanted to follow up on something you mentioned earlier.
Oh, we got a chocolate face.
There's kind of been this long-awaited
Okay.
disinflation and shelter.
I put my
that
glasses
still
on for
isn't
this one,
around.
Rice.
So I guess two questions. How do you explain the substantial lags between some of the private sector data we're seeing and the government data?
She's classy with
And
the mic.
how confident are you that rents will be
Yeah,
helpful on the
she's a
inflation
vet.
front in the coming months?
So essentially, there are a number of places in the economy where there are just lag structures built into the inflation process, and housing is one of them. So when you when someone a new person goes to rent an apartment, that's called market rent. And you can see market rents are barely going up at all. The inflation in those has been very low. But it takes, before that, they were incredibly high. They sort of led the high part. So what happens is those market rents take years, actually, to get all the way into rents for tenants who are rolling over their leases. Landlords don't tend to charge as much of an increase to a rollover tenant for whatever reason. And what that does is it builds up a sort of an unrealized portion of increases when there have been big increases. And what happens is, it's complicated, but the story is it just takes some time for that to get in. Now, I am confident that as long as market rents remain low, this is going to show up in measured inflation, assuming that market rents do remain low. What will be the exact timing of it? I think we've learned that the lags are longer. We now think significantly longer than we thought at the beginning. And so confident that it will come, but not so confident in the timing of it. But yes, I expected that this will happen.
Thanks.
More bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, at this point, we don't have to keep listening unless everybody wants us to, and you want to continue listening.
It
But
seems that over the past 3 or 4
like I
years,
said, I was trying to gauge what we were going to be like. I'm saying there's a lot of political pressure to drop interest rates, which may happen closer to the election. Which may not happen at all, because it may be like all signs pointing to Jerome Powell's going to not have a job, so he's just going to leave it alone and not help nobody and just leave it alone. I don't know. So I thought that this would provide a little clarity on that, and it didn't really provide any clarity.
We got absolutely nothing, guys. So it was a big
nothing burger.
Pretty
It was a
much.
big nothing burger. It was an announcement of an announcement.
There you go. That's what they like to do, Rice. That's what they like to do.
This shit.
So just, I guess we can summarize, man. And like you said, there's nothing. I know you got to go in about 15 minutes, right? Or how much time you got?
I'm good till 4:45, so I'm good for at least another 30. But I can wrap up whenever too.
No, I'm good. We can go to the end, and I'm
just picking up some mail items, and then I'm going to the post office tomorrow. So.
I think.
Yeah, man. I don't. Guys, let us know in the comments. What do you think about what you heard, if anything? It's interesting, right, that the markets have popped, though. We have Bitcoin taking a nice pop.
I mean, but
news. Dow Jones up as well.
It was up like 3%. Now it's up 1.5%. So it's up and down. It's not had a lot of effect on the market.
It ran up 3%. Bitcoin 3.5% last hour. This is a new candle.
But it's back at 58.5 now.
Yeah, we're right at the support line. That, oh man, I really didn't think we were going to breach 60,000. It's very concerning that we have. If we don't get, I think we should see a quick recovery above 60K.
And then it drop back down.
No. We need to stay above 60K because look, this area right here is I was going
to ask you a Cryptodamus prediction here or some insight.
Yeah, I'm concerned at this point. I told someone this morning, this area, man, like this was supposed to be a nice solid support zone for us, and it's not. We breached it, like clearly breached it for a few hours. So I'm a little concerned of where we are right now. If we can't get back above this zone here, which is about 59, let's just go ahead and say, yeah.
What about the rest of the markets?
What do you mean?
How's the S&P looking?
S&P was looking strong today. It popped off of this conference as well, which is very I don't know how to take that, bro. I don't really know how to take that. We got Dow Jones up 1.33%.
Yeah, because I mean we've seen it go up, and as soon as she started saying certain things, it started going right back down.
Right. It's the exactly.
Everybody's hanging. It's like they're literally hanging on every word.
Omnibone says dead cat bounce. Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt that, like I said, this time, based on especially with what's going on in Japan with the yen, that there would have been. That we needed to focus on what was being said, and there would have been a little bit more clarity kind of given. There's not any clarity out of there wasn't any, as far as I heard, there wasn't anything mentioned as far as 1, 2 rate cuts. I don't even know if I've really heard any expectations of if there's going to be any rate cuts this year, where a lot of that language has shifted and changed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they don't raise if the interest rates don't start going down, then when it comes to the budget of the government, the debt alone, the interest on our debt is going to be like line item number 1, whereas it's like line item number 3 or 4 right now. But we're talking about exceeding the budget of our military. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, I heard something last night. I watched this weekly economic podcast, and they said something about whenever countries, what did he say?
Because we're borrowing.
Something to do with the military costs and the interest or something. It's some metric where a country flips and it's pretty much downhill from there. I can't remember what that number is, but what that
that's kind of where we're at. And so when we see what's happening to the Japanese yen, that's an indication of the dollar. Everything is a derivative of the dollar at this point. So it's intersecting and definitely 100% affecting. So it's going to come back on us. And if we have other nations, even at the scale of population and GDP as Japan, having similar problems with their fiat currency, which is more than likely going to happen, it's like we can't prop up every country's fiat currency. We can't prop up the FDIC in the United States for everybody's accounts. It's like there's not even enough like money to pay off the debt that we have in existence. It's this make-believe game that we keep playing, man. It's crazy. That's why I understand and respect Bozak with his idea of seeing money becoming obsolete. Because of how it's used as a tool of control. I mean, we are nothing but slaves of debt, period. There's no way that anybody can deny that.
Yeah, I agree. But that is a byproduct of the collapse of the capitalistic system. Money becoming obsolete. Money is like literally the centerpiece of capitalism.
I mean, I think we'll always have medium of exchange and ways to evaluate our time.
But that's the whole concept. We're eliminating that because our time will no longer be valuable in the marketplace because there is no point for us to work.
That's communism.
No,
no incentive. No incentive because everybody gets the same, regardless. Everybody gets what they need. So,
but that's not communism though, because communism still uses a capitalistic system.
But it also, I guess, depends on what form of communism, because the form of communism in Cuba versus China versus the old USSR aren't the same. The Korean communism is not the same. So it's like there's no unified communism. And none of it is they say it's based on Karl Marx's works, but none of it is very Karl Marx.
So Donald says, I'm looking forward to your review of Whitney Webb's interview. It definitely deserves a show of its own. So you want to do that maybe sometime next week or this weekend?
I mean, her interviews for the most part are like 2-hour-long interviews. So I'm not sure how.
No, we could just take clips of it and whichever parts we like and dissect.
I mean,
if you want.
Yeah, those 4 videos or the 4 I sent in the private chat that I dropped, one of them is like a year old, the one with Ian Davis, the one called Sustainable Debt Slavery, but that's where they're going over like the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, which kind of ties into the current research that they're doing with the debt slavery stuff. And while I'm thinking about it, let me go to my Telegram and pull the link for the article that they just put out, Whitney Webb and Bitcoin Magazine. And then it also came out on her website, Unlimited Hangout, but it references the Bitcoin Magazine article. So copying this, I'm going to drop it in the private chat and then drop it in the group chat. And this is about the tokenization, how BlackRock plans to own the fractionalized world.
Okay.
fractionalization.
That's
like
the RWA. Yeah, that's that RWA movement, right?
But it's taking it further because they're talking about taking and securitizing like nature, trees, land, things like that.
That's RWA, real world assets, and that's what the tokenization.
Well, it's a form of real world assets, yes.
Yeah, and that's what BlackRock is doing. They're really pushing forward with that. They're going to do some.
RWA speaking of that, we've not talked about this, and maybe we can do a video on RWAs.
All right, so I think we got a breaking analysis from Mr. Jim Cramer himself. He says he doesn't like coochie, guys. That means a buy signal.
That's an inverted signal there.
It's time to buy coochie, guys.
Hilarious. Did I put this in the comments in the chat? I don't think I did. This Bitcoin.
Yeah, guys, hit that like button. Please share this stream. We have a decent amount of people on X pills right now. We have 134. Yeah, 134 on your side, Rice. I've got 148 people watching on X.
Have you increased any of your I've actually lost followers since I've done the paid thing, and have you grown or lost anything?
I haven't paid attention to it. No,
I was just curious. I mean, the views are nice, but it'd be nice if they translated over in some other fashion.
Yeah. So
guys, hey, if you're not following us on Twitter and you're watching us on Twitter, maybe follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter.
Twitter, because if you go to x.com, it will forward you to twitter.com.
It sure does. So it's still Twitter. Until they stop doing that, Rice, it's Twitter. I like that observation right there.
That's why sometimes I'll say X, Twitter.
Nah, I don't like X, man.
Twitter
it's a one syllable. It just doesn't. I don't know what he did with that. That was weird. But anyway, let's see. I am says here, and let me stop sharing that. He says here, it's the Intel superstate running things, a hybrid, tyrannical, social fat. Come on, man, you got
social fascist. Let me say this, okay? I can.
Come on, I am.
It's the Intel superstate running things, a hybrid, tyrannical, social fascist oligarchy, pure centralization. I didn't say period twice, but.
Communism equal you work, you get same as everyone else. Socialism, everyone gets the same regardless of what they do.
Okay, that makes sense, and that's where I can understand the confusion coming in. Yeah, and I definitely don't want to study communism. I have no interest in really technically learning about it. I've read the Communist Manifesto, and
oh man. Yeah, man.
Actually, what I heard is the community got a hold of Cramer's wallet address and they airdropped some coochie into Cramer's wallet. Is what I heard. That's the word. Man. That's the word on 7 Mile, at least.
That would be great if I could find out Cramer's Solana address and airdrop him some coochie. That would be awesome.
No, I heard the community already did it.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, that's what I heard on 7 Mile. I was hanging out on 7 Mile earlier, and that's what they told me.
Oh man. One problem with coochie, it can milk you dry if you're not careful. That's very true. Buy that coochie responsibly now.
In many ways, in many ways. Because, you don't want to drop a deposit because sometimes you can't afford the interest.
Guys, hit that like button. Here on the show, man, we like to have fun, give you our opinions about what's going on in the crypto space and geopolitically as well.
Brighten up the dryness, man. It's just
brighten up the dryness.
It's too scripted, a lot of bullshit, propaganda. So as much as we can make some entertainment in it, we appreciate everybody and hope that we made somebody smile today.
And a lot of people are asking for us to do some type of meetup. We'll talk about that. Still up in the air if Rice is going to be at Consensus in Austin.
I just got to confirm what I'm going to do is staying. I think I told you, and I don't mind saying this on live, and I'm not going to give the reason so people don't. Everybody can speculate in many ways you want. I got kicked off of Airbnb. I'm not allowed to use their shit, so I got to find somebody else to stay with or book a hotel.
Why?
I just said I'm not going to tell anybody. I might tell you why, but I'm not going to go in here and. I want to let everybody speculate. But they
too
banned
many coochie parties, man. I mean, come on, you got to be
responsible. Straight banned me from Airbnb.
Gotta be responsible, Rice. Too many people.
You don't think I try to be?
Who else?
I'm a Toys R Us kid. I never grow up.
Great feed. Hey, thank you. I am. Always appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, he's good people.
Checking us out. Good people. Very good people.
Shout out to Donald Muhammad.
Yep, Donald. Yep. I'm gonna check that out, bro. Thank you for that.
And definitely Whitney Webb.
420 related, Rice?
It's potentially possibly related to something 420.
Oh. Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, and it's possible. I mean, it could be in conjunction with other things as well. I'm not going to just say, man. I'm not going to give anybody like the complete.
Say no Diddy after that one. I don't know.
Nah, I like of age, conscious,
good.
And consenting.
Females.
Of age, conscious, and consenting. Those are like requirements. So.
All right, great. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Hit that like button, ladies and gents. Again, thank you for tuning in for today. Go follow Rice. I have his link in the description of my video.
Hey, real quick, some people were talking about this whole Airbnb thing. There are other content creators who have been deemed controversial who have lost their accounts. So, and their family members as well. There's a girl named Laura Southern. She was one person that experienced that. So it goes along with the censorship. Because it's a lot of that stuff, you're just kind of linked up. You can even like be using your Facebook account to sign into Airbnb. So I could have already been like on a list and they were just looking for reasons. Who knows?
Oh, wow. Damn, man.
But it's not like it's not like I've never heard of that happen before. It's just like people's Cash App accounts have been closed. Your boy NFT Demon, I think they killed his Cash App account.
There's something going on with NFT, and I haven't put out his interview. I haven't put out Waters Above's interview.
The Waters, I don't know, man. I feel bad about putting it out, but we talked about it.
No, you shouldn't feel bad. I told you go ahead, bro. But I did an interview not the same week, the week after. I did an interview with NFT Demon, and man, like, I think the government is still after that guy, bro. The stuff that he tells me that happens to him is like, it seems targeted. It seems very targeted. So,
do you believe what he's saying is happening to him to be what's actually happening to him, or do you believe? Is it possible that this gentleman has a grand imagination?
Of course, it's possible.
Okay. Well, but what I'm asking you, what based off of your interactions with said individual, do you think that what he's experiencing is in fact actually happening?
I don't know, man. The more I think about it, the more I interact and hear the stories. Possibly not.
Because he's told me before, like his past is involved like hacking and stuff, but I don't know the
hacking. He never told me that. He doesn't seem like a computer dude.
I thought he was kind of like almost like acting like he was like an anon or something, kind of like that. I could be wrong. Sure. I could be wrong. Yeah, as an individual, I like him. I like him for what he does as calling himself the biggest NFT artist on BNB. As like I don't really like a lot of people who just like are constantly bragging about stuff. That's all.
Do you see the comment on the screen, my friend?
Yeah, and I when I saw it come up, I'm like, why's it got to be black?
Rice doesn't discriminate, guys.
Can it be multicolored?
It's only me that discriminates.
Can it be multicolored? Like, is the coin called Black Coochie? Is that what it's called?
No, it's just Coochie.
Okay. Is there a side chain? Is there a pink in the middle side chain?
We might do a sister coin called what?
Pink in the middle?
Pink. No, it's all pink.
It's all pink in the middle.
Yeah, it's all pink. So I have to figure that one out. I have to talk to the marketers about that one.
Just all pink. Everything pink. Everything pink.
Yeah, man. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today, man. We had a great time. Rice, what do you have coming up the rest of this week? Anything? You doing any videos?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a video Friday. I might be actually doing a video on that article that I posted from Bitcoin Magazine with Whitney Webb and Mark Goodwin talking about this tokenization and fractionalization. It's pretty interesting. And it goes into some of the stuff with the video stuff that we've been talking about. I mean, if anybody who is watching this, I have tried numerous ways to reach out to Whitney Webb to request an interview. I've been reaching out to Mark Goodwin. I'm going to talk to my contact with the Bitcoin conference and see what his relationship is with Goodwin, because the magazine is obviously works in conjunction with the conference. It's like all under the same umbrella company. So I'm trying to get one or two, if I could start off with Mark and then somehow get to Whitney. But Whitney is definitely, I cannot say 100% I agree with 100% of everything that she says, but her research is impeccable. Like, and the information that she's uncovered and sharing with like individuals like Ian Davis and Mark Goodwin is stuff that definitely needs to be heard. And it's crazy because she's not technically a Bitcoiner, but
which is good. I like that.
No, to me, like is that. More of she's more of what I think a Bitcoiner or crypto person should be,
right?
Than the actual people that call themselves Bitcoiners.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Right.
That was the point.
Agreed.
She's like giving advice to people about what we can do to keep our what little bit of freedom we have.
Yep.
I mean, the form of debt slavery we have compared to what the system would like to bring. We actually are kind of free right now. Even though we are slaves to debt, we are still kind of free.
Damn. You're right. Anything for clicks. It's basically retraced the whole move up. That was like a little short squeeze pop or something.
Back down to 57.6.
We're back down, man. Good God Almighty.
Now we're negative 4% for the 24 hours.
Damn.
10.5% for 7 days.
And Coochie has been getting slaughtered. It's been getting pounded.
Can you tell me anything that's not getting slaughtered?
No, everything is. I'm just saying, like,
let me actually go on here.
We are bleeding out across the board. So if you think this is a cheap, a good zone to buy all crypto assets,
okay,
it may be that time. I don't know.
Shiba Inu is up 3.62%. Shiba Inu. Pepe is up 3%. So maybe the memes are going to start taking off right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that'll be good for your Coochie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, most coins are like, if there is anything that's up, and I'm looking at coin market cap, it's like 1%. There's only like 2 coins, and Shiba's now 0.82%. Now,
so it's heading back down.
Yeah.
It's just a delay. You know, the big homie moves first, and then they.
So I'm watching to see if Pepe is doing the same thing, because it was up 3%. BitTorrent, for whatever reason, is up 1.5%.
That's just what's his name?
Justin's son
manipulating and buying his own coin. But yeah, across the board, if you look here, let me do a refresh though, because this was a few across the board, man. These bad boys aren't looking good for the 7 day. You look at the 7 day, Solana's down 12%, Dogecoin down 15%,
What is Solana's 14. Price right now?
Man, Solana is at $1.30. It was at $1.24 this morning.
I'm pretty sure people wish it was $1.24.
I'm sorry, 120.
I thought you were just like trying to say that cool or something. I didn't know what you were doing.
No, I didn't mean to say that.
But yeah, 24. You're like, people are gonna kill you. They're like, hey, I thought. Oh my God, it just
right.
100x.
Right.
I just missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so show me
stacks down.
130.
Yeah, not looking good. If we go to categories, we go to memes. Let's see what the memes are doing here. Memes. Ooh, memes are getting hit hard, bro. Overall.
Well, you know, it's so funny. I mean, today is technically, I wouldn't call it May Day, but it's the beginning of May, and
look
a
at
lot
Bitcoin,
a lot of these old sayings are
May
legit.
Go away.
Yeah, I really feel like there's legitimacy to it. And look what's happening with the ETFs. Look at to me, the failure of the launch, because I look at the Hong Kong ETF launches as a failure. As far as the numbers.
Absolutely.
No, as far as their numbers. Now, they're still successful because they were able to launch in kind, where you can go in and out with the actual cryptocurrency. So that's good.
Tax liability. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and I think it'll be successful, but no one really messes around in May, and people like their summertime. So I don't even think we're even going to have a lot of stuff. I think we're probably going to see a lot of sideways, choppy action. Thank you, Ian.
We all know, though, that after the halving, we have a little small dip. I was telling someone this yesterday, small dip, and then we run 60 to 90 days after. every time. Now, doesn't mean it's going to happen this time.
That'll put us in what time frame? Like June?
Yeah. Somewhere June-ish.
Somewhere around there.
Yep.
In between consensus and Litecoin conference and Bitcoin conference. Almost
every consensus, we do see a crash with Bitcoin too.
There used to be a consensus pump. There used to
crash, and then a crash.
Well, because it's an artificial pump.
Yeah.
Just to make everything kind of look good.
Right.
I was saying a belated happy birthday, and I was going to mention. I didn't mention it, but the Department of Justice definitely gave me an awful birthday present by taking away an interview from me.
Department of Justice. Yeah.
Yeah, they arrested Roger on my birthday.
Oh, that was on your birthday.
The 29th.
Yeah. So Rice has been.
I believe they arrested him on the 29th. That's when they unsealed the indictment.
We did an emergency, the Tate brothers emergency meeting live stream when we found out that it hit the newswire that Roger Ver was arrested, guys, because it's so crazy. Rice has been behind the scenes telling me for the last 2 weeks.
The fake Tate brothers. That's what we should call our show, the fake Tate brothers.
Rice has been trying to get this interview with Roger Ver. He's been going back and forth with him for 2 weeks now, maybe even longer.
That's been longer.
And then lo and behold, he gets arrested.
It's really been since the beginning. It's been about beginning of April, because I told him I was getting the book, and he said I'd rather just you read the book and then we could do the interview, because everybody else who had interviewed him at that point had interviewed him before the book came out. So he really hadn't had any interviews that were actually talking about what was in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So and I thought that it definitely made sense to have me read the book, because it was going to help with some of the questions based off previous interviews. Because I did those 3 previous interviews with Roger. And then the cool thing is, on Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel, they took those videos and re-uploaded them. So I'm on the Bitcoin.com YouTube channel, which I like that. That's like a little piece of history.
Yeah.
I still have massive respect for what he's done in the space, and
of course
I'm in agreement with a lot of what he says. And when I talk about me being a fan of Bitcoin, I'm not necessarily talking about the coin that's in existence being traded under the BTC banner. I'm not talking about any specific coin, but just the ideology, the concept.
Right.
And I'm sure Whitney does own Bitcoin, but she doesn't consider herself a Bitcoiner per se. But I think she just got announced for the Bitcoin conference, which she spoke last year, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So
did not know that.
Bitcoin.
So yeah, guys, I think we can wrap up here, man. Any last words? I do want to tell people again, don't forget.
Well, what do you have coming up this week?
Well, some giveaways, man. Got some money being given away this week. We got $300 given away in the Coochie community. And then we have $100 given away on my channel this Friday. So a lot of giveaways. You guys want some extra money in this bear? I don't know what this is, bro. Is it a bear market, a bear crash, bull market crash? I don't know. But definitely come over to the Coochie Telegram room, and all you got to do is become, get in the room, follow the instructions.
You want to hear something funny?
What?
At least I think it's funny. They have Ben Askren as a speaker at the Bitcoin conference.
Wait a minute. The fighter?
Yeah. Let me see.
At the Bitcoin conference or the Litecoin conference?
At the Bitcoin conference.
See, this is what
but they won't let me and you speak. But they're gonna let
no shade to Ben. Now hold on. This is not. I like him.
But he's a Litecoin guy.
He's a Litecoin guy. I thought.
I didn't think he talked about anything but Litecoin. So I got the speaker thing pulled up. If you want to do a quick screen share, and then we can bounce out.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Kathy Wood, Michael Saylor, Scaramucci. Where did I see it at? Yeah, Ben Askren, Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee, I mean, he did make the first Bitcoin exchange in China. He has Ballet Wallet, which obviously supports Bruce Fenton, which is cool.
Charlene.
He's been on my show. Chris Cyborg, MMA fighter. But yeah, they can't have content creators like YouTubers like Rice Crypto and Crypto Blood speaking.
Of course not.
You can have MMA fighters which make no sense. Like, where's the connection there? Not really sure.
It's all commercial now, bro.
Dan Held, who actually, if you go on Dan Held's Twitter account, to me made an ass of himself because he's cheered on Roger Ver getting arrested.
Yeah, oh, that was him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my. See, this is what I'm saying,
he's with,
bro.
I think he's with Kraken, right?
I'm so sick of this industry, bro.
It's because of that whole block size war was so polarizing. That's really what it comes down to. Gary Cardone's going to be there speaking.
I like Gary. He's cool. But it's all the newcomers and the celebrities that get the, and that's just how it is. We know that's what brings the sheeple in, right? That's how that person's coming. So it is what it is, man.
Where's Whitney? Is she always at the bottom?
Wait, go back up. Was Andreas Antonopoulos on there? Scroll up some more.
I seriously doubt it. Yeah, I don't know. Andreas is like gone very, very private in a lot of ways.
I wonder why.
I don't know. I mean, he still has like he has a Patreon channel. I don't know what he's doing on social media, but it looks like he posts like older stuff from Patreon as clips on his YouTube channel to keep that active. But I haven't gotten a response from him. I've had him on a channel a couple times.
So have I. Yep.
And he hasn't like responded back to me in any fashion. I've messaged him, try to get him back on. Because the last time I had him on was right before the last halving. I believe that's when the second interview. It was either the first or second interview. But
Money Man, what are they talking about? Who are you referring to? Let us know.
And maybe they didn't.
We're wrapping up. We just streamed for almost 2 hours.
What are we missing?
Here, FOMC.
Interesting. I mean, we do have titles on the video. I think.
Maybe we're not talking about what's on the video title now. So
no, we're at the climax, man.
Yeah.
We've been listening. We've been listening to coughing. We've been listening to a coughing.
Yeah, how many did you? I counted 69 coughs. Okay.
Then I counted. Then even though I didn't technically count it, I counted 420.
Okay, 420 counts of coughs. He mentioned inflation a lot today. Very, very. You
not
said
as much as he coughed. He didn't.
He coughed more than he inflated. That's
100%. And we also went over the way that people hold microphones.
Yep.
That's very important.
Telling.
That's very important for our comedy routine here on the FOMC live meeting.
That's right.
Off-near stopped at 30.
Okay.
It's 420. Just trust me. 400. It's
between 69 and 420. That's
maybe it was 4,200 and 690.
It
was a lot. That's all that matters.
4269. Right? 4269.
4269. Coochie Boy said he counted 69 coochie.
All right, that's what I'm talking about, brother. So that's
smash that like button if you haven't already.
That's what you walked into, Money Man. Thank you for.
Yeah, you walked into the end. You walked into the end. But yeah, definitely watch it on replay. We appreciate everybody taking the time to join us. If you guys are watching on my side, make sure you are subscribed to Blood's YouTube channel, Rumble channel. Following him on X/Twitter. Links are down below in my video description. And yeah, if you're watching on the Blood side, vice versa, same thing. Make sure you subscribe to my channel over on the YouTube and Rumble side, and follow me on the X Twitter at RiceTVX.
There you go, people. We out of here. Another Off the Chain episode 107. Let's go.
Holla.
This my two Satoshis. This my two Satoshis. Who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis? Yeah, this my two Satoshis. This my two Satoshis. Tune in and get the latest and greatest from stacking Toshis.
Yeah.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coin. These niggas pop, my money keeps growing. Your girl is a dot, she all on my groin. She blowing my horn. fuck like porn. These rappers is whack, they lyrics is corn. I'm getting this money, it never get born. I'm loading my strap, they callin' law. Fuck around your clap, for running your jaw. If it ain't about the dollars, then it don't make sense. Got me sipping brown water, but it ain't from Flint. Trying to chase all this bread, though the shit won't last. About to shut the city down like a crypto crash. Stacking my coin, 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 stacking my Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
Smoking on that crippy got me cliff high. Steam pot, heat rock, clean shot. Surfing through the city while them chips rise. Hot boy, do it big time. LMA with my summer bay, we booed up. Cali hit the bay, we fly MIA, we pulled up. Sipping on this drink, bitch, I know the way. We juiced up, nigga violate till it's AFK like your roofer. Coin daddy bout them chips, nigga, rap snacks. Face all in a box, nigga, Snapchat. Fucking with the ops to get you clapped.
Yo, is he a blood or is he a crip?
Nigga, back.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin.
We should do it live one time.
Bitcoin, Litecoin.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Okay.